Okay, so I just wanted to do this really quickly. I posted this on Twitter. And I wanted to, this is a response to Freddie Prinze Jr. making these claims that, George Lucas said the Force is this and balance equals this. And it's all nonsense. And I don't even care if George says it, and I'll prove to you why this is all nonsense. This whole idea that the dark and the light always have to balance out, this Rian Johnson sequel trilogy nonsense, okay? So first, let's just listen to what Freddie has to say, and then I will give my response, which I think you guys will find very interesting.
I know more about the Force than most people because Dave Filoni taught me and George Lucas taught him. And all these video games have people up on what the Force is. Like, Luke's skill doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses. Right. The Emperor doesn't dictate whether he wins or loses. The Force dictates who wins or loses based on balance. And here's the quick version on how to explain it to all these people who fucking think they get to decide. In the first, if you want to do this like time-wise, Palpatine, you would say, and Yoda are the smartest two. Palpatine clearly smarter because Yoda was blind to the power of the dark side and the seduction of Anakin. So let's talk about the seduction of Anakin Skywalker for a second. If the Emperor is the smartest dude in the universe and knows that the Force dictates this, if he kills who he sees as a rival, Anakin, then he knows the Force is just going to correct that because the Emperor knows this. These are George Lucas's words, not mine. So you if you disagree with me. Straight up, this is information, not affirmation time. Straight up, man. So the Emperor knows that. So instead of killing Anakin, what does he do? He seduces Anakin to double the strength of the dark side. So then what does the Force do?
Balance.
It balances us. How? It gives us twins, Luke and Leia, 2 and 2. Balance. And if you look at the movie through just that simple perspective, you will not only know why every single bad guy loses and every single good guy loses, you'll know who's going to win and lose in the next movies. I can tell you, I just don't want to wreck it. People bitch about the dumbest shit like it's archetype characters.
This is a lore-destroying idea. Because first of all, what does Obi-Wan say to Luke in A New Hope?
For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the Old Republic, before the Dark Times.
So was the Force unbalanced for 1,000 generations then, because there was more Jedi than Sith? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Or is he saying that the light side dominance is the balance? Okay, so let's move on. Then you have in Revenge of the Sith, what does Obi-Wan say to Anakin in Revenge of the Sith?
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them! Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness!
So Obi-Wan is saying that destroying the Sith is bringing balance to the Force. Okay, this is the lore. This is what it has been since the beginning. So I don't know what George was drinking when he said what he said to Freddie or whatever he apparently said, but he's contradicting his own lore, his own writing. The idea that the same amount of Force users on both sides is balance is nonsense because according to Obi-Wan, balance is when the Sith are destroyed, ergo balance is light side dominance. And when you look at the prequels, there were a ton of Jedi. It's not as if the dark side was or the Force was going to bring 1,000 Siths out of the woodwork because there were 1,000 Jedis to balance the Force. Like, this is absolute nonsense. I don't know where Rian Johnson and the sequels and Kathleen Kennedy got this from, but it's just not reality. So with this established lore that we have from the original trilogy with Obi-Wan, the prequels with Obi-Wan, and everything else, and the numbers, we can deduce that Vader saving Luke, and Luke being the lone Force user that we knew of at the time, means that from that moment the Force was in fact balanced, and Anakin did balance it in the end, and fulfill the prophecy. But there's more though. So how and why did this good and bad equals balance in the Force come from? It came from Rian Johnson, who destroyed the very essence of the lore of Star Wars. This is like the basic premise of the entire thing, and he destroyed it. It starts with Luke telling Rey, powerful light, powerful dark, balance, which totally contradicts his former master. That's total contradiction. Even Yoda. Like the idea is to resist the darkness, not to try and somehow bring some sort of balance within yourself. And if that's what he was doing when he was on the island, all grumpy and not himself, well, I guess that kind of makes sense then, because it's a stupid idea. Then Johnson pushed this point further by telling us that the Sith also agree with this idea.
Darkness rises, and light to meet
darkness rises and light to meet it. Oh, everyone just knows this. This is a thing now. Everyone just believes this. And then Jar Jar also pushed this lore-destroying idea in The Rise of Skywalker with the idea that Rey came into existence to balance things out from Kylo. But then took it a step further with this dyad idea. So because Kylo is quasi-bad, and by the way, he was not a very scary villain. He was barely dark, but anyway. But then that means that Rey has to sort of come out of nowhere. And it just seems like they're making it up as they go along because of Rey being a nobody and because she just was so powerful. And, she had to be because she's, balancing. Again, it's all just, I think, made up just to justify the fact that she had such a crummy arc. But having said that, anyway, it doesn't matter. Either way, it still goes against the basic premise of the first 6 movies. And then in 2020, Disney is pushing this idea more. They put it into this book, The Journal of the Wills, which, the Wills are these ancient, Force guides or whatever. And even they say that that's what balancing the Force is. So basically what we're saying is the first 6 episodes don't align with what the Wills have always said, which totally destroys the lore. And this book was written in 2020. It was another Disney property. So what are they doing? What is this? And so again, even if George says it contradicts his own writing, so whatever he was on when he said it, I don't care. And finally, if Snoke and Luke know that no matter what, dark will rise if light wins, and light will rise if dark wins, then what's the point? What's the point of the Star Wars? What is the point? If everybody knows that no one's ever going to win, what is the purpose? What is the purpose? So why even try? When someone's just going to take it away anyway. So essentially, this whole idea of the light and dark always being in balance means that, okay, so Rey at the end of the movie, Rey is the light user. So what does that mean? That means, well, you didn't win. Now there's going to be another dark side user. And it renders the entire franchise, all of the stories, everything, totally pointless. Because it's just a never-ending revolving door. So, sorry, Freddie Prinze Jr., you're wrong. I don't care who you heard it from. I don't care if you heard it from George Lucas. I don't care where you got it. It's a made-up thing. It started with Rian Johnson. It started with the Disney sequel trilogy. They completely sat on and stomped on the most basic of basic overall premises of the entire thing, the whole reason the franchise exists, which is that to balance the Force, the light has to win, as Obi-Wan said. And when Anakin went dark, it became unbalanced, not balanced. Him being dark and Obi-Wan being light didn't balance it. According to Obi-Wan, it was unbalanced. And Disney didn't even understand the basic lore of their own entity that they purchased. That's the end of it. So sorry, Freddie, you're wrong.